Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Breeze, Breezeway Productions' The Breeze, where we bring you the latest in independent films and film festival news. And we're happy to kick off our coverage of this year's Toronto International Film Festival, the 2022 edition, with the film My Sailor, My Love, which will be screening at the festival this year. We have with us today Director Klaus Haro and actor James Cosmo. How are you guys?
I'm good, thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Tell me a little bit about My Sailor, My Love.
Yeah, well, it's a story basically about a retired sea captain and his, you could say, strained relationship with his daughter. His daughter tries to care for her aging father. She hires help, and quite unexpectedly, the father falls in love with this help. They form a relationship, and the daughter doesn't approve of that relationship. So you have a drama between these three people, and that sort of romance, if you will, brings out many unspoken issues in the family. And so it's a drama between these three people, a strong human relation drama.
Yes, I was able to catch the film yesterday. I thought it was a very strong film, as you said. I got a huge emotional response out of it. I did cry at the end. I would categorize it as a tearjerker with some amazing performances. Mr. Cosmo, I'll go to you and to talk about this. How did this end up in your wheelhouse, in your corner, and that when you decided to do it?
Well, I was lucky enough to be. My agent was approached by Klaus's folk, and I hadn't seen Klaus's work before, and they sent me a link to a film called The Fencer. And I don't know if you've seen it, Alex, but it's a beautiful, beautiful film. It's the subtlety and the light touch was just extraordinary. I loved it to bits, and I just couldn't wait to work with Klaus. And then when that was decided, I had the absolute privilege of meeting Bríd and Catherine in Ireland and on the West Coast, and we hit it off together. We had a week together, the four of us, working through the script, and it was it's like it didn't seem like coming to work. It just didn't. It was just a joy. I looked forward to spending time with them and talking about the script and the characters, and as Klaus says, the dynamics of this love affair opening up all these doors that have been closed for so long. So I had it was a great joy for me to be in the movie.
This is quite a different type of role that you're doing in this film rather than your past body of work. People do know you from Braveheart and Game of Thrones. Yeah. I've seen you on the battlefield from many times. So this change of pace, have you done something of this aspect, or did you enjoy the prospect of slowing it down to do a film like this?
Oh, absolutely. I think when I read the script, I could see the huge potential that was there. But when I actually went to Ireland and experienced the West Coast, Achill Island, where life is at a much slower pace amid this extraordinary beauty, it just informed all our performances to such a huge extent. So yeah, I know that I've done a lot of swords and sandals, as they say, yeah. And that's fine. But I must say, I did have a feeling when I was doing that film, our film, that this is where I should be. This is what I should be doing. And that just makes me happy to do that. And it's not an experience that comes along very often, Alex, that you feel that way. Sometimes, movies are a bit like a curate's egg, as they say in England, good in parts. Mm-hmm. You can pick out nice moments, or, other times aren't so great. But there's a great deal of pressure in big movies, and, come on and have your game face on and things. But this was nothing like that. And on the set, it was calm and kind and understanding and collaborative. It couldn't have been any better for me. Just couldn't have been.
It was a wonderful piece. I enjoyed the performances from everybody, and I know it was relief so that you didn't have to take an arrow to the shoulder or get your hand chopped off again. So it's to enjoy things at a slower pace. I'm sure that it was
I'm getting
enjoyed.
a bit past that, Alex.
Yeah, it was. There's that as well. So you talked about the location. It is gorgeous. The house, the sea, the layout of all the towns, the beautiful coast. Klaus, how did you decide that this was the location where you wanted to shoot, and where did you come upon it?
Yeah, I mean, I live in Finland. That's where I come from. And when we went to Ireland, our Irish producer, Mr. David Collins, would say, if this is what you want, a barren and beautiful place, you have to go to the west. And we saw these most stunning landscapes. And what then happens in the director is, what if we lose these landscapes? What if we can't afford to come here? What if we won't be able to do the film here? Because from the moment I saw these places, I didn't want to do the film anywhere else. So we have to come here. So I was so lucky to be able to work in this place and with these generous people of the West of Ireland.
Yeah, this was also a co-production, I think, with Finland and Ireland as well,
Right.
with two different companies. How did you bridge the two businesses together to complete the financing for this film?
Well, I mean, the producers had their story. How did they match, and how did they find sort of common ground, and how did they find each other in the first place? For me as a director, I can tell you it was a very educating thing to be a director of a movie, and you're the only one whose mother tongue is not English. So you're surrounded by these people who are way ahead of you. And it would happen, James probably remembers this, every day around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I kind of ran out of words, like my English stopped. And I just have to go like, you take, James, you know what to do. And the actors would just take over. And there was no way of me over directing them because I just ran out of words. And then the next morning I was fine until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then again I forget about that I ever knew English. And it is very intimidating, if you will, as a director. Luckily, I had these most generous actors who were able to just run their show by themselves.
Yeah, I think that everyone meshed very wonderfully. Also, and my final question, I'll go to you, James, was about the relationship that you had with your daughter in this film is quite tumultuous, in that, there are situations that arise where it becomes quite, a battle of knocking heads. How did you work with her in regards to that as the tension grew over time? Because there were some very powerful scenes that affected you deeply as the film goes on between your relationship with her.
Yeah, it was very interesting working with Catherine, but I think that all came from our initial rehearsal period, if you like, when we could discover those trigger points and those doors that neither of us had approached and were suddenly verbalized, to sort of shocking effect. It just sort of highlights the fact that people can be in a family and have been together all Catherine's character's life, and these regrets and hurts that have carried through and are suddenly exposed by my character showing that he is actually capable of falling in love, and how devastating that is for Catherine, because she hasn't really had that love. It was never verbalized and never shown, and so it came very naturally. One, because we had a great script. Two, I was working with a great actress. And three, I was working with a great director, truly great director.
There's high praise put out there. And I do believe that the script was also put together well. Your character starts out cold and hardened and shut off, and then turns into a warm and loving and open, father figure later on in the film. But everyone has their skeletons in their closet, as you'll see watching the film. So again, I want to thank both of you gentlemen for joining me today to talk about My Sailor, My Love, which is currently playing at TIFF. And we hope that you also could continue to succeed with this film. And we will tell all of our audience where and when it will be screening below. So again, I want to thank you, Klaus Haro and James Cosmo, for spending time with me on The Breeze.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.